美国2月4日周二，川普总统在白宫接待了以色列总理班杰明·纳坦雅胡，双方重点讨论了伊朗的核能力、以色列与沙特阿拉伯的关系正常化进程，以及以色列与哈马斯停火与人质交换协议的第2阶段安排。值得注意的是，在会谈后的记者会上，川普再度语出惊人，宣称美国将接管加沙走廊，并暗示可能动用美军。他解释称，加沙地区的巴勒斯坦人应该迁离这个战乱不断的地区，这对他们来说其实是一件好事。
I also strongly believe that the Gaza Strip, which has been a symbol of death and destruction for so many decades and so bad for the people anywhere near it, and especially those who live there, and frankly, who's been really very unlucky. It's been very unlucky. It's been an unlucky place for a long time. Being in its presence just has not been good, and it should not go through a process of rebuilding and occupation by the same people that have really stood there and fought for it and lived there and died there and lived a miserable existence there. Instead, we should go to other countries of interest with humanitarian hearts, and there are many of them that want to do this, and build various domains that will ultimately be occupied by the 1.8 million Palestinians living in Gaza, ending the death and destruction and, frankly, bad luck. This can be paid for by neighboring countries of great wealth. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 12. It could be numerous sites, or it could be one large site. But the people will be able to live in comfort and peace, and we'll make sure something really spectacular is done. They're going to have peace. They're not going to be shot at and killed and destroyed like this civilization of wonderful people has had to endure. The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
此外，这场记者会上还发生了一个小插曲，川普因听不懂一名阿富汗记者的口音，调侃称其口音很美，还祝福道：“祝你好运，平安生活。”
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
As a high expectation from you. Do you have any plan to change Afghanistan situation? Are you able to recognize Taliban? Because I'm an Afghan journalist, Afghan separate woman. Any comment about Afghanistan? What's your future plan for Afghan people, especially Afghanistan?
I have a little hard time understanding you. Where are you from? Actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying. But I just say this, good luck, live in peace. Go ahead, please.
与此同时，国务卿马可·鲁比欧也在哥斯达黎加首都圣荷西与该国总统罗德里戈查维斯举行了会晤，会后也召开了联合记者会。在记者会上，鲁比欧被问及美国国际开发署资金冻结的问题，让我们听听他是如何回应的。
We applied on the first question about aid. No one's talking. This is a 90-day freeze through which it allows us now to review programs. You know, before we did the freeze, we couldn't find out anything about some of these programs. And USAID in particular, they refused to tell us anything. We won't tell you what the money's going to, where the money's for, who has it, which contractor it's been. You know, in some cases it goes through 4 different contractors before it reaches the intended recipient. These are not my numbers. These are USAID's number. In some cases with USAID, 10, 12, 13%, maybe less of the money was actually reaching the recipient, and the rest was going into the overhead and the bureaucracy. This isn't my money. This is taxpayer money. So we're not going to eliminate foreign aid. We're going to have foreign aid that makes sense. We're going to have foreign aid that works. We're going to have foreign aid that furthers the national interest. We're going to have foreign aid that benefits our trusted partners and our allies. I am here today, we've issued a waiver today, because in Costa Rica we have a trusted partner and an ally who has proven that they have taken aid from the United States and used it to fix a problem, to help us, to do it in a way that actually helps the United States. They're stopping drugs. They're stopping criminals. They're identifying terrorists. This is foreign aid that furthers the national interest. Other programs we have questions about, but we've also issued waivers because we don't want anybody see anybody die or anybody be harmed in the short term. But we're going to conduct a review, and we are going to have foreign aid in this country that is going to further the national interest of the United States. If it doesn't make us stronger or more prosperous or more secure, we aren't going to spend taxpayer money on it. We owe that to the people of our country.
On President Bukele's offer to jail incarcerated Americans in El Salvador, is that something you'd like to see happen? And separately, there have been accounts of the U.S. exemptions on President Trump's aid freeze not working, resulting in clinics for HIV medication in Africa shutting down, the suspension of demining in Cambodia, and challenges for the malaria prevention program, PMI. Are these waiver problems something you're seeing and looking to address? Thank you.
Yeah. Let me address the first one. That's an offer President Bukele made. Obviously, we'll have to study it on our end. There are obviously legalities involved. We have a constitution. We have all sorts of things. But it's a very generous offer. No one's ever made an offer like that. And to outsource at a fraction of the cost, at least some of the most dangerous and violent criminals that we have in the United States. But obviously, the administration will have to make a decision. I raised it yesterday because it's an incredible offer and an unprecedented one. On the second point, look, we froze foreign aid so that we can review those programs. The waiver process exists so that we can review those programs. Today, here, we've issued waivers for programs that make all the sense in the world. They make America safer. They make America stronger, because the programs we've issued a waiver for are helping our trusted partners intercept and stop drugs and terrorists from coming into the United States. But I issued a blanket waiver that said if this is life-saving programs, okay, if it's providing food or medicine or anything that is saving lives and is immediate and urgent, you're not included in the freeze. I don't know how much more clear we can be than that. And I would say if some organization is receiving funds from the United States and does not know how to apply a waiver, then I have real questions about the competence of that organization. Or I wonder whether they're deliberately sabotaging it for purposes of making a political point. I want to repeat what I've said. I have long supported foreign aid. I continue to support foreign aid. But foreign aid is not charity. It exists for the purpose of advancing the national interest of the United States. Every dollar we will spend, as long as I'm Secretary of State, and as long as President Trump is in the White House, is going to be a dollar that's advancing our national interest. And you see this here today. These are programs that work. This is the kind of foreign aid we need to do. And there are programs that we have questions about that do not further the national interest, and they should be eliminated. And then there are those we need to learn more about. But we have a blanket waiver. It's been out for a week. And anybody who tells you they don't understand it, let me repeat it in very simple words. If it saves lives, if it's emergency life-saving aid, food, medicine, whatever, they have a waiver. I don't know how much clearer we can be. And if they're not applying it, then maybe they're not a very good organization, and maybe it shouldn't be getting money at all.
当天晚间，美国参议院终于正式确认了帕姆邦迪出任美国司法部长。这次确认投票几乎完全是按照党派路线进行的，但宾州民主党参议员约翰·费特曼违背党意，成为了唯一一位支持邦迪提名的民主党议员。最终，帕姆邦迪以54比46正式获得参议院确认。考虑到邦迪长期以来是川普的亲密盟友，他的上任时必将为司法部带来重大变革，并终结对川普及其盟友的政治迫害。
On this vote, the yeas are 54, the nays are 46. The nomination is confirmed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table, and the President will be immediately notified of the Senate's action.
Mr. President,
Mr. Leader.
最后，再让我们来看看参议院共和党领导每周例行记者会上的几个亮点。
I think as everybody knows, the focus of the Senate right now is working through the President's nominations. We have made considerable headway there. After this week, we will be confirming the President's nominees at virtually twice the rate of 2021 and 2017. And that's really important for the foreseeable future, that we allow the President to get his people in place so they can begin to implement his agenda. So that will continue to be our focus here in the United States Senate.
President Trump has already had in the very short time that he's been president. He declared a national border emergency. He has resumed construction of the border wall. He has deported, as we see, numbers of illegal immigrants, particularly those who have criminal records. And he has entered into negotiation with tariffs in Canada, in Mexico, which has resulted very successfully on both of those countries, our friends and our neighbors, enlisting in his cause and our cause to make our border safe, not just from illegal immigrants coming in, but also from the flow of fentanyl that's killing Americans at a rapid pace. We've also confirmed Kristi Noem as the Cabinet Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, and we passed the Laken Riley Act, which he signed just last week. So, what's been the result of this in just a short period of time? Illegal border crossings have dropped 60% in this short period of time. We also know that the Border Patrol recorded 582 illegal crossings at the southern border on a single day last week, whereas the single-day crossing number had peaked at 11,000 in a single day in December of 2023. I think you can see that the President's policies and our ability to back him up here in the Senate and the House has resulted in a real tightening of our border, a real shrinking of the numbers, and I think give the assurances to the American people that not only does he mean business, but he means results at the same time.
The Congressional Review Act allows you to repeal regulations passed by the previous administration. When are you going to start using the Congressional Review Act to repeal regulations, and what regulations are the first items on your agenda to repeal?
We have 10 or 15 potential CRAs that we're reviewing and looking at. Which one gets queued up first? It'll be a function, frankly, in many ways, of us working with the White House, determining what their priorities are, and with the House of Representatives. A lot of times those CRAs originate in the House and then come over here, but we'll see that there's a lot of consideration being given right now to which candidates are eligible for CRAs and how to prioritize them. But be assured that we will use our time, when we're not working on nominees, to do everything we can to repeal a lot of the heavy-handed, onerous, burdensome regulations of the Biden administration, which we think are strangling our economy and making it harder for businesses in this country to grow and create jobs.
Do you believe that the White House has the authority to unilaterally close a federal agency such as USAID without congressional approval?
I don't think that, with my understanding, I don't think they're closing an agency, but I do think they have the right to review funding and how those decisions are made and what priorities are being funded. I think that's probably true of any administration when they come in. There are lots of programs authorized and funded through that agency, some of which I think are operating in the way in which they were intended, and some which aren't. And I think that's the determination the administration is in the process of making, and trying to determine, again, how the various programs that are authorized and funded under USAID, how those dollars are being spent, and whether they're being spent wisely and well and consistent with the purpose for which they are intended. And I think, as you perhaps saw yesterday when Secretary Rubio responded to some questions around this subject, indicated that for a very long time Congress has been trying to get answers about USAID, those programs, how they're funded, why they're funded, what they're being used for, and have not been able to get that information. So it's in need of reform, it's in need of transparency and greater accountability, and I think that's what the administration is trying to achieve. One more.
Yep. With some House Republicans pushing for deeper spending cuts, whether it's reconciliation or government funding, is that something you can do realistically in the near future, whether it's through DOGE or through just Congress in general?
I think it's a combination of DOGE and Congress. I think there are things the administration can do, as you already have seen, through executive order, but there will be times in which, obviously Congress is going to have to go to work and work with the administration to find ways to spend less, to spend more effectively, more efficiently, and to ensure that the American people's tax dollars are being used wisely and well. And so I think, yes, we want to be a part of that process. We will, through budget reconciliation, looking for ways that we can scrub federal programs and find ways to spend money more efficiently and get us on a more sustainable fiscal track, which I think right now is, as you look at the deficits and the debt in the foreseeable future, that picture's not a good one. And so it's high time that we had this conversation. DOGE is a part of that, and I also think that Congress, particularly through the budget reconciliation process, will be a part of that as well. Thanks.